जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtake. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Granthrat Srimad-Bhagavatam, the beautiful Canto 10, Chapter 1, verses 5 through 7. Thank you. Where is it? There you go. Okay. So only 5s on the board. पितामहा में समरे मरंजये देवव्रताद्याति अतिरथति मिंगलैः दुरत्ययं कौरवसैन्य सागरम् कृत्वा तरन्वत्सपदं स्म यत्प्लवाः पितामहा मे समरे मरजञ्जये देवव्रताद्यातिरथैस्तिमिङ्गलैः दुरत्ययं कौरवसैन्यसागरम् कृत्वा तरन्वत्सपदं स्म यत्प्लवाः पितामहा मे समरे मरञ्जये देवव्रतायादिरथैस्तिमिङ्गलैः दुरत्ययं कौरवसैन्यसागरम् कृत्वा तरन्वत्सपदं स्म यत्प्लवाः पितामहा मे समरमरञ्जये देवव्रतायादि अतिरथैस्तिमिङ्गलैः दुरत्यय कौरवसैन्यसागरम् कृत्वा तरन्वत्सपदं स्म यत्प्लवाः पितामहा मे समरे मरञ्जये देवव्रतायादितिरैस्तिमिङ्गलैः दुरत्ययं कौरवसैन्यसागरम् कृत्वा तरन्वत्सपदं स्म यत्प्लवाः पितामहाः My grandfathers, the 5 Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva. May my Samare on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Amaram Jayehi, with fighters who could gain victory over the demigods on the battlefield, Devavrata Adya, Bhishma Deva and others, Atirathaihi, great commanders-in-chief, Timingalaihi, resembling great Timingala fish, which can easily eat large sharks. Duratyayam, very difficult to cross. Kaurava Sainya Sagaram, the ocean of the assembled soldiers of the Kauravas. Kritva, considering such an ocean. Ataran, crossed it. Vatsapadam, exactly as one steps over a small hoof print of a calf. Sma, in the past. Yat plavaha, the shelter of the boat of Krishna's lotus feet. Drauni, of Ashwathama. Astra, by the Brahmastra. Viplushtam, being attacked and burned. Idam, this. Madangam, my body. Santana Bijam, the only seed left, the last descendant of the family. Kuru Pandavanam, of the Kurus and the Pandavas, because no one but me lived after the battle of Kurukshetra. Jugopa, gave protection. Kukshim, within the womb. Gataha, being placed. Atta Chakraha, taking in hand the disc. Matuhu, of my mother. Cha, also. Me, my. Yaha, the Lord who. Sharanam, the shelter. Gatayah, who had taken. Viryani, the glorification of the transcendental characteristics. Tasya, of him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Akhila Deha Bhajam, of all the materially embodied living entities, Antaha Bahihi, inside and outside, Purusha, of the Supreme Person, Kala Rupaihi, in the forms of eternal time, Prayachataha, who is the giver, Mrityum, of death, Uta, it is said, Amritam cha, and eternal life, Maya Manushyasya, of the Lord, who appeared as an ordinary human being by his own potency, Vadasva, kindly describe, Vidwan, O learned speaker, Shukadeva Goswami. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Taking the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, my grandfather Arjuna and others crossed the ocean of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which such commanders as Bhishma Deva resembled great fish that could very easily have swallowed them. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, my grandfathers crossed this ocean, which was very difficult to cross, as easily as one steps over the hoof print of a calf. Because my mother surrendered unto Lord Krishna's lotus feet, the Lord, Sudarshan Chakra in hand, entered her womb and saved my body, the body of the last remaining descendant of the Kurus and the Pandavas, which was almost destroyed by the fiery weapon of Ashwathama. Lord Shri Krishna, appearing within and outside of all materially embodied living beings by his own potency in the form of eternal time, that is, as Paramatma and as Virata Rupa, gave liberation to everyone, either as cruel death or as life. Kindly enlighten me by describing his transcendental characteristics. Purport. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 58, Samashritaye pada pallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavam budir vatsa padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. Quote, for one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, or the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. His goal is Parampadam, or Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. End quote. One who seeks shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna is immediately protected by the Lord. As the Lord promises in Bhagavad Gita 18:66, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. By taking shelter of Lord Krishna, one comes under the safest protection. Thus, when the Pandavas took shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, all of them were on the safe side of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Parikshit Maharaj therefore felt obliged to think of Krishna in the last days of his life. This is the ideal result of Krishna consciousness, Ante Narayana Smritihi. If at the time of death one can remember Krishna, one's life is successful. Parikshit Maharaj therefore, because of his many obligations to Krishna, intelligently decided to think of Krishna constantly during the last days of his life. Krishna had saved the Pandavas, Maharaj Parikshit's grandfathers, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, And Krishna had saved Maharaj Parikshit himself when he was attacked by the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. Krishna acted as the friend and worshipable deity of the Pandava family. Moreover, apart from Lord Krishna's personal contact with the Pandavas, Krishna is the super soul of all living entities, and he gives everyone liberation, even if one is not a pure devotee. Kamsa, for example, was not at all a devotee, yet Krishna, after killing him, gave him salvation. Krishna consciousness is beneficial to everyone, whether one is a pure devotee or a non-devotee. This is the glory of Krishna consciousness. Considering this, who will not take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna? Krishna is described in this verse as Maya Manushya because he descends exactly like a human being. He is not obliged to come here like karmis or ordinary living beings. Rather, he appears by his own internal energy, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, just to show favor to the fallen conditioned souls. Krishna is always situated in his original position as Satchidananda Vigraha, and anyone who renders service to him is also situated in his original spiritual identity, Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. This is the highest perfection of human life. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is describing his vibhutis, his opulences, and he is describing himself as the best among every category, one of the categories he speaks about is that among all forbearing entities, the most forbearing and forgiving is Mother Earth. And if we notice that we take Mother Earth and what she gives us very much for granted. Without land, no living entity can survive, including the fish and the birds. Because the birds cannot keep on flying, they have to land somewhere. The fish cannot have a body of water unless there is land below the ocean supporting that body of water. Right? If there is no land, how can water survive? And all the countless living entities that are nourished by Mother Earth, by food, by mountains, minerals, heat, food grains, etc., etc. And human beings and other animals, of course animals we can't tell much about. Human beings are the conscious ones, in fact more aware and conscientious. We dig for oil, we dig for water, we pass stool and everything goes into the ground. We urinate, we pass stool, we dump our garbage, we dump plastic, whatever. We're constantly, in one sense, abusing. Just as a child who's on the lap of the mother urinates and passes stool and doesn't even think about it. But the mother specifically doesn't mind it, and she cleans it and cleans the baby and moves on. So among all forbearing entities, Mother Earth is considered to be the most forbearing. But there is one burden that she cannot bear. And that's the burden of even one ungrateful person. She can bear any burden, she can bear any difficulty, but she cannot bear ingratitude. So the Mahabharata and other great scriptures extol the virtue of being grateful. So we are at the junction where Krishna's pastimes are about to be described by Shukadeva Goswami. And Parikshit Maharaj, in these verses, these 3 verses, is showing us how a practicing devotee like ourselves should express gratitude. There are 2 things here. One is the expression of gratitude, and the second is the attraction to hearing Krishna Katha. And both of these go together. Gratitude is the culturing of the field of the heart in which the seed of hearing can germinate. Otherwise, however potent the seed is, if the land is not fertile enough, that seed cannot germinate. So the place in which this seed has to take root has to be prepared, has to be fertile, and the fertility is gratitude. And as soon as the canto begins, Parikshit Maharaj expresses. And so here's some features to gratitude, expression of it. The first feature is that Parikshit Maharaj's gratitude is not selfish. Selfish gratitude looks like this. How wonderful is Krishna who's only reciprocating with me. Parikshit Maharaj doesn't say that, at least not in the very first sentence. So the first expression of gratitude is he recognizes that his identity and value is in relation to the great devotees. So he says, my great, not great-grandfathers, but the great-grandfathers of mine, the 5 Pandavas. The 5 Pandavas were so powerful that there was nobody on the planet who could defeat them. Now, what to speak when all 5 were together? Individually, they were invincible, but together, no way. Yet, they faced the Kauravas. And the Kauravas were 11 Akshauhinis of army. And the whole Pandava army was comprised of 7 Akshauhinis. So a little more than half. And on the Kaurava side, all the great warriors were there. Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, Ashwathama, plus hundreds of powerful people, plus all of the Narayana warriors were on that side, because Krishna's army were fighting on the other side. So Arjuna was faced with all these great generals. And they're described as Timingalas in this verse. Timingala are these fish that we never get to see. Apparently they're there in the great oceans that can swallow sharks as if they were small fish. Now generally a person who's very sharp and very prudent and extremely cunning and manipulative is spoken as or referred to as a shark. Especially in a corporate environment, we say, man, they're sharks. Sharks, like, they're merciless. They don't care. If they have to pulverize someone, they crush someone, they will not hesitate for a moment. So we say, they're sharks. So this phrase comes from the Bhagavatam, because Parikshit Maharaj saying, you know the Kauravas, they were the Timingalas, because in front of them, the sharks are nothing. These great generals were such that they could have swallowed the Pandavas like that in one moment. Dronacharya was Arjuna's teacher. Bhishmadev was such a warrior. He had defeated the personality of Godhead, Parashuram, in fighting. And Duryodhana, Dushasana, they were all very powerful. In fact, Duryodhana was a better fighter than Bhima. Duryodhana was so good, he was personally taught by Lord Balaram. I mean, who can do better than that? Duryodhana and Bhima, the only difference was that Duryodhana was extremely powerful and strong, but Bhima was more artistic with his weaponry. But Bhima could not stand Duryodhana's strength. Yudhishthira Maharaj was just too good a person. And Nakula and Sahadev were very, very strong, great horsemen, such that no one, it seems Sahadeva had the ability to ride a horse through rain without getting wet. Don't ask me how he would do that. There's such skill at horse riding and this and that. Great persons. But in front of the Kaurava army, nothing. And the reference is given poetically that these were the great Timingala fish in the ocean of the Kaurava army. So literally ocean in the sense that the Kaurava army of 11 Akshauhini soldiers is described in the Mahabharata, expanded 16 miles. Very much from here to a little farther than O'Hare Airport. O'Hare is about 11 miles from here. So if the Kaurava generals were standing here, the last of them was far beyond O'Hare Airport. Packed with warriors. And not some, useless recruits from here and there, with some sword in hand. They didn't know what to do. Not like that kind of guys. Well-trained, super army. And the Pandavas had to cut through and kill all of them. So very daunting task. And one of the specific, I've narrated this story many times, I'm not going to do it again, that on one particular day, after Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna becomes very angry. And he takes a vow. Tomorrow, by sunset, I will kill Jayadratha. And if I don't kill Jayadratha, I will enter fire and kill myself. I promise this. They blew the conch. So Krishna told Arjuna, why'd you make such a promise? Do you understand how difficult it is? And the Kaurava army was thrilled at hearing this, except Jayadratha. It's like, why are you partying when my life is at danger? So Duryodhana laughed and said, don't worry, this is the best. What we're going to do is keep you at O'Hare Airport. You're the last in the line of the soldiers. We'll keep you at the very end. And the first line will be Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, Dushasana, Duryodhana, Kripacharya, and all the great generals as the first flank. So when Arjuna looks at us, he has to first fight us, defeat us, cut through, and reach you. So when you have traffic, to get to O'Hare, it takes about an hour. So Arjuna had to face severe rush hour to get to Jayadratha before the sunset. And Krishna was his chariot driver. So when Krishna told Arjuna, why'd you make such a promise? Arjuna said, I don't know. In that moment, I had to make that promise. Now you have to make it come true. So Krishna's, okay, we have to make Arjuna's promise come true. Because remember, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, whatever my devotee says, Kaunteya pratijani, you should speak. Whatever you say, I'll make it happen. Name bhakta pranashyati. So he has to fulfill that promise. So through this ocean of Timingala, filled with Timingala fish, Krishna very, very dexterously brought him close to Jayadratha. Prabhu was not there. So Krishna manifested his divine mystic potency and made the sun set. So as soon as the sun set, they blew the conch. Woo! War over for the day. Jayadratha not killed. In fact, Jayadratha was not even seen on the battlefield. They didn't know where he was. So all the Kauravas became so thrilled that they started jumping and dancing. They all gathered in front of Arjuna and said, Arjuna, give up your life. You made this promise. Ha ha, our main enemy is going to be finished. And through the crowd, Jayadratha showed up because he was now relieved. And he wanted to see personally Arjuna kill himself. So he came pushing everyone out and said, right in front of Arjuna and said, ha ha ha, I want to see you die. Krishna turned to Arjuna and told him, pick up your Gandiva. He says, how can I fight? It is sunset. Pick up your Gandiva. Set your arrow. And the next moment, the sun was shining brightly in the sky. And everyone was so shocked, like it's a moment without anyone thinking what was going on. They were caught by surprise. Arjuna quickly mounted his arrow and pierced the heart of Jayadratha in one moment. The whole idea was the mystic potency of sunset, that Jayadratha foolishly came in front of Arjuna saying, ha ha ha. And he was right there, perfect target. So Krishna was so dexterous in saving Arjuna's life. Not even this. Later, when Karna had promised, I am going to... Oh, before that, Duryodhana goes and incites Bhishma Dev. You're not being a wonderful warrior. That's because Arjuna is your favorite. So you're not really, putting your 100% in it because they're all so dear to you. So Bhishma becomes very angry. You never say these things to Kshatriyas. They get insulted. Bhishma Dev said, how dare you speak like this? Is that how you feel? I promise you, Duryodhana, here are 5 arrows. The most powerful arrows that I have. I'm giving them to you. Hold them safely, because tomorrow morning I'm going to take them from you and kill all the 5 Pandavas by tomorrow night. I promise you that. Duryodhana became very enlivened. Ah, ha, ha, ha. That evening, Krishna went to Arjuna and said, I think you should pay a visit to Duryodhana now. Said, now, in the middle of the evening? Yes, please go. And Duryodhana will be a very gracious host. And he will ask you, Arjuna, what do you need? Ask him for those 5 arrows. So when Arjuna goes, Duryodhana says, oh, my dear brother, come sit. How are you? How's the day? War, we've been fighting each other, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything I can do for you? Ask whatever you want. That is how they were. They were very friendly in the evening. They were at each other's throat in the morning. So Arjuna said, I believe you have 5 arrows. I would like them, please. So Duryodhana, okay, here you are, those 5 arrows. Then Karna, when he became general, he had one weapon called the Nagastra, the snake weapon. That never came back defeated. If once it was released by Karna, it would always meet its target. And he had only one opportunity. That's it. Once he uses that weapon, he cannot use it again. It's like a credit card, Once you swipe it, you can't use it again. It's a gift card kind of thing. So Karna was forced to use that weapon on a particular day when he was not prepared to doing it. So somehow the battle was arranged such that he had to use the Naga weapon. So he mounted it and shot it at Arjuna. And that weapon, because it was a divine gift, it can never go wrong. So when Krishna saw that arrow heading towards Arjuna, it would have cut off Arjuna's head. It was going to decapitate Arjuna. So Krishna was sitting on the chariot with his big toe pressed down the chariot, such that the chariot went down into the ground by a few inches. And so the weapon, instead of cutting Arjuna's neck, hit his crown and knocked it off. And Arjuna's head was saved. So the arrow met its target, just didn't do what it was supposed to do. So when this canto is beginning, Parikshit Maharaj is recounting all of this, of how Krishna at every moment saved these 5 Pandavas from these amazing Timingala fish-like warriors. And he uses the phrase, Pitamaha me, my grandfathers. So it's not so much of pride or arrogance that they were my grandfathers, but it is an expression of gratitude that Krishna is being gracious to me because I'm connected to these great Pandavas. So when mercy comes, this is the point of gratitude, that when mercy comes into our lives, that we don't consider, I am very great, or I surely must have done something to attract Krishna's attention. I didn't realize, but I could actually do it. It's not like that. It is, actually Krishna wouldn't be able, actually not even notice me, because I am somehow connected to a great Vaishnav, or Vaishnavas, Krishna's mercy has come to me. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur exemplified this. Once he had forgotten his spectacles in his room, and he had come to the temple room to stand before the deities. And because of the vision situation, he couldn't see so clearly or something. And so one of his disciples said, I can run and bring your spectacles. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, no, not necessary. I will stand behind a very sincere devotee, because Krishna will look at him and his glance will also fall on me. Because that is what is the servant of a servant. I am actually getting some mercy in my life, not because I chanted so amazingly that Krishna is like, who's this guy? Usually it is, who is this guy? But because I'm somehow connected in this parampara and connected to the specific Vaishnava, my spiritual master, and these sadhus by whose grace I'm actually being nourished, it is because of them. Pitamaha me. That's how he begins it. So the first expression of gratitude is that I am receiving this descending mercy is because I'm connected to some great people. That's the first one. And he recounts the specific ways in which Krishna saved these great grandfathers. The next, he says, is third line. Oh, sorry. Where is the verse where he says, Timingala Duratya Kaurava Sangam Kritavan Vatsapadam. Oh, the next verse, sorry, because we're doing 5, 6, and 7. So fifth verse is looking at how Krishna saved the 5 Pandavas. Verse 6, he's talking about how Krishna saved him. And also in this case, it's not him, because my mother surrendered to Krishna. So he was in the womb. We know the story, his very first canto. Ashwathama had pronounced a word called apandavaha. Usually when they mount an arrow on their bow, they're supposed to say the mantra that invokes the power on the arrow or in the arrow. And they're supposed to say who the target is. So if Ashwathama had to shoot an arrow on Arjuna, he would say some mantra and say, Arjuna, something, and it should go. In this case, he mounted the arrow, the Brahmastra, and said, Apandava syat. May there be no Pandava left. So the arrow's target was all the 5 brothers and the very last descendant of the family, Parikshit Maharaj, in the womb. But Krishna protected all the Pandavas and Parikshit Maharaj, because Uttara ran to him, Deva Deva Mahayogin. What was that verse? Krishna Krishna Mahabaho, Krishna Mahabaho, Bhaktanam Abhayam Kuru. Sorry. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho, Bhaktanam Abhayam Kuru. Something Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. I see death all around me. My dear Krishna, you who make the devotees fearless, please help me. And Krishna protected Parikshit Maharaj. So now instead of grandfathers, he's referring to his mother. And the second feature of gratitude is to see that Krishna is not only nourishing me, but appreciating how Krishna is nourishing others as well. Otherwise, it becomes a very selfish sort of relationship. Krishna is only giving me mercy. I must be so amazing. But what about others? Real appreciation that is free of envy, so gratitude that is free of envy, also can appreciate how wonderfully Krishna is reciprocating with this person and that person and that person and that person. Because whenever we find someone has been able to accomplish something in their life, it is our training to say how wonderfully Krishna has empowered you to speak this way, to sing this way, to cook that way, to write this way, to carry out this particular service in this way, whatever is the ability, because Krishna is the source of all abilities. So in that second aspect, he says, Krishna as either the personification of time or as Paramatma gave everyone on the battlefield liberation. They all went back home, back to Godhead, simply by Krishna's presence on the battlefield, regardless of which side they were on. They all attained, it says, they all attained their swarupas. They all attained their complete spiritual forms and identities, even if they were fighting against the Pandavas. So that's the third verse. Viryani tasya akhila deha bhajam. Viryani is all these great personalities. Akhila deha bhajam, persons who are embodied. All of them together is called akhila, together. Antar bahi, he is both within and outside. Outside, he influences them as time, Kala Purusha. And from within, he influences them as Paramatma. Antar bahi Purusha Kala Rupaihi. Prayacho Mritum Utamritam Cha. Although they were all destined for death, he gave them one of these two. Either as time, he killed them, or as Paramatma, he gave them eternal life, depending on those persons. And depending on all living entities, how they are destined to move through life, he is the one who's awarding them. And so he says, however, this Krishna is not easily understood. Maya manushasya badasva vidam. Please speak to me about him. I'm very eager to know. So the second point of gratitude being the fertile land in which the seed of hearing can be sown. If we don't feel grateful to a particular person, we cannot hear them. We cannot hear a Krishna Katha from them. It's very difficult. But the higher principle is, if we don't have, well, let me say it positively. The more gratitude we have for Krishna and Krishna's descending mercy, the more eager and interesting and captivated we are to hearing his Katha. So as devotees, we try every day as sadhakas to increase our gratitude by at least a mustard seed size. This is Vaisheshika Prabhu's phrase. My dear Krishna, let my gratitude or let my bhakti today grow by at least one mustard seed size worth. Because that's a lot for me to handle. Even if that little happens, it will be amazing for me. So every day we make it a practice, somehow or the other, to somebody or the other, we express that gratitude. How wonderfully Krishna is manifesting His grace in my life and in the lives of others, not just mine. This Krishna is very amazing. He can show His amazing grace on anyone, and I recognize it. And the more I recognize, the more grateful I become and I feel. And as I become more grateful and I feel it, I want to hear more about Him. So He's opening the door for Shukadev Goswami to keep on speaking. So he says, Maya Manushasya Vadasva, please speak. Vidam, you're very knowledgeable. You know about Krishna very well, so please speak to me. So any comments, thoughts, disagreements, challenges? Which of them do you have, Subal bro?
It's something that I always wonder.
You always wonder?
Yeah, it's not, maybe it's not, a very deep question. It's almost like, but maybe you have some insight to this. After the fact that the Pandavas had the situation that they didn't have a descendant, the only surviving descendant of the Pandavas was Maharaj Parikshit. However, why they couldn't have, it was any reason why they couldn't have any more progeny? And the wives was there, Draupadi and Subhadra was there. Why they couldn't have more children?
All the children that they had died on the battlefield. Arjuna's Draupadi's 5 sons, who were one from each of the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, they were beheaded by Ashwatthama. They were lying in the tent. He went and chopped their heads off. Little boys. And they were at an age where they're not like Ajamil to have another child at such a late age. Because by the time that young prince grows up, whoever that next one is, these guys have to still continue ruling. But their time was up. They left. As soon as the battlefield was over, all the 5 Pandavas left. Right? There's a whole chapter in first canto. Pandavas depart early or something. They leave. They don't want any more. Yudhishthira Maharaj is crowned the king. He rules for some time. That's it. But there was no one else left except at that point Uttara was pregnant. So it was not time for having children again. It was like, okay, there is an heir already. So they would not just have children because they wanted heirs. So there was already one. Abhimanyu didn't make it, so the only one left was Parikshit. So when he became of an age that he was ready to transfer, they moved on. They didn't wait for another one. Because the purpose is served, that the next person is ready. So they didn't just hang there, waited for another. He's there. That is why. Is that okay?
The thing was that I was thinking about yourself like Bhakti Siddhanta. He left his spectacles. So of course, it's just my interesting things. I am just telling. So how it will be like reflected? Because reflected, if will be on the back of somebody. So how it is the means according to physics, angle of incidence is angle of reflection. So it will go and come back like this. So how? just.
So right now Subal Prabhu is sitting behind you.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at you, I can also see Subal Prabhu. The Bhaktisiddhanta's point was not that I'm going to hide behind someone. I'll just stand next to or behind a very sincere devotee, because Krishna will look at them for sure because they're very sincere. And his glance will also fall on me. That was his point. I don't think Bhaktisiddhanta was thinking physics at that time. Yeah, we can use that word whenever we like. Jitendra Prabhu, you have something? Ruchi Mataji, you had something? Okay.
It seems like you're very well read in the Mahabharata, because all these
I haven't read Mahabharata at all, believe it or not.
But these little details are kind of...
I like to hear these stories again and again and again.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's one thing I remember. I can see for miles because I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. That's kind of seems like what you're seeing, your vision. Oh, and then I remember reading in toward the end of Kali Yuga, nobody will listen to one another. They're all, it's like the Tower of Babel. They're all confused and stuff like that. And then, so there's no real communication because, like you say, a person has to have gratitude before he can listen to someone to some degree. Another thing is...
It's not just gratitude to anyone, particularly this is gratitude to Krishna. Unless one sees and feels gratitude from Krishna, they cannot appreciate it even when it comes through someone. So a devotee's vision is not so much particularly that this person or that person is great, being nice to me or generous to me, but the vision is that Krishna is using so many instruments to give me mercy, and I'm very honored and grateful to those instruments, of course, because they are the ones, the medium, but it is grace coming from Krishna, wherever it comes from. Even if it comes from a non-devotee, we say, well, Krishna is teaching me through this person.
Another thing is, you says it's 11 miles to O'Hare. Every time I push the trip meter, it's always 14 or 15.
14 or 15.
What route do you take?
I fly.
Thank you.
I went by Google. It told me it's 11 miles.
Okay. Thank you.
So Google stands corrected. I'll say 16. Actually, it makes it stronger to say 16 miles rather than 11 miles. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice class. I really liked your class, especially the part about like the seed needs a fertile soil. That's very true. But like I was going to ask about gratitude, but Jitendra Prabhu already asked. But then, so another thing that you said was about envy. So like I was thinking that I personally sometimes have this problem of envy, and then I know I shouldn't be having it, but then even when it is at a subtler level or like other levels, so what does like the scriptures say about dealing with envy if one has envy?
So first of all, you're not alone. If you felt you have envy, welcome. I have a lot of envy. And as a living being in this world, we all have envy. No one is free of it. Some may have more, some may have less. One's not free of it so easily. And it's not so much, when we see envy towards someone else, it is said that the root of it is that we have envy towards Krishna. That is the root cause of it. In Sanskrit, it's called dvesha. So if you break the word down, dvesha, dve means two. And Isha means masters. Dvesha means there's a competition for two masters. Why is he? I'm also want to be. That is Dvesha. There's only one master, Krishna. So the more we understand that all of my expressions of envy is the root cause is that I have a problem with him. So we work on solving that problem first. And the more that disease is cured, the less we are envious to others. Plus, another part of envy comes from two places. One is when we feel that Krishna is being kind to others and not to me. That's one big problem. When that's not the case, Krishna is kind to everyone. We just don't have the vision to see it or feel it. That's one. Or the other kind of envy is the pride that Krishna is being only kind to me and not to others. They are suffering because they are not grateful to Krishna. Unlike me, I have no problems. That's the second part of it. So we go through either of these situations. So Parikshit Maharaj in this verse is showing us how to do it. His gratitude is being expressed because somehow is under the grace of these great devotees. So we are under the shelter of Prabhupada. So we should be guaranteed that Krishna will definitely take care of us. Maybe not the way we like it, but He's definitely taking care of us. Definitely. That confidence we need to develop. Because we are under the shelter of Prabhupada. Krishna may never look at us, if we think of it that way. But because we have come to Prabhupada's feet, He will definitely give a concession and consider us. Oh, thank you. You have something, Mataji?
Nityananda Prabhu mentioned that Duryodhana could stand up to Bhima. I read something the other day in passing that Bhima used to delight in, I guess, antagonizing the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, and they were pretty powerless in face of his strength. And in that section, there was mention that Duryodhana, always viewed Bhima as a thorn in his side. And so I was understanding that in some sense he always was a little powerless too in the face of Bhima. So I was a little surprised when I heard you say that he had sufficient strength that even Bhima couldn't stand up to him. So maybe you can help me with that.
So Duryodhana was stronger, Bhima was more skillful. So when at the end of the Mahabharata war, when both of them are fighting hand-to-hand combat, the fight was so severe that it was not ending. There was no way Duryodhana could be defeated. So finally Krishna had to indicate to Bhima that he has to hit below the belt. So from technical perspectives, that's against the rules or whatever. That's a whole different analysis. But yes, Duryodhana was stronger. However, some people who may be very strong, but because they are insecure, they don't understand how strong they actually are. So Duryodhana was a victim of insecurity. Throughout the Mahabharata, Duryodhana is nothing but a victim of insecurity. He always was insecure. Even if he got so much more, he was like, how much did they get? So when Krishna came as a peace messenger and told Duryodhana, you keep the entire Hastinapur with yourself, you keep the entire world with yourself, give Yudhishthira Maharaj 5 villages, small little villages, boroughs, just sit, they'll take care of it. No. Because, insecure children cannot share because they feel they have something less. That was Duryodhana's biggest problem. Although he had great strength and might, he never knew how strong he was because of his insecurity. And that was his downfall, in case so. So finally he had to be eliminated by below the belt move. And Balaram becomes very upset. And he calls. He calls Krishna and says, "Why'd you do that? Why did you allow that to happen?" It's all right? He needs to know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I second Ruchi's comment. It was a very good class. There's many points to appreciate. And you kind of answer you reminded me of a verse. I was going to ask it anyway, but maybe you know what the verse is, because I don't remember the exact Sanskrit or where is it. It's in chapter 9 where
I
Krishna,
only know a few verses, so if it's not within that, I'm lost.
where Krishna says, "I'm equal to everyone, samo aham
Samoham
something."
sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosthi na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham.
Can you say the English translation? So
English,
what-
Krishna says, I'm equal to all. I don't have special love for someone or envy towards anyone. However, one who approaches me with great love, I reciprocate with great love back.
So the lesson, I have a question from what you were saying from your class. The lesson I took from that verse is that God is, like you said, God gives mercy to everyone. He's on everyone's side. But the question is, are we on God's side? So Arjuna, you were mentioning Arjuna, Krishna maintained Arjuna's promise. And so I have a question about that how do we know that, like, a lot of times people say Krishna's on my side. And Indra also thought that. In Govardhan Leela, Krishna's on my side. He wants me to kill the Brajavasis.
Look, there's no reference that Indra thought like that.
Well, I'm saying in the sense that he was supposed to be a demigod, devotee of Krishna. He's a devotee of Krishna. So I'll just use our examples. In the material world, we say God's on my side. But a lot of times, sometimes our happiness only comes from, how do we know the distinction whether my happiness is coming from Krishna or my happiness is coming from sense gratification? And also, on the other hand, is that Krishna maintains a promise to devotees, but the tendency is that when we, anything we do, like Indra, we kind of tendency like Krishna's on my side, so, I'm a devotee. So how do we know the distinction between all these, if you kind of understand my question? It's like very confusing. And
No, Indra may consider I'm a devotee of Krishna, but when the Brajavasis did not make the offering to him, the devotee part in him went away and he became upset at the Brajavasis for not giving him his share. So at that time, that aspect that was the devotee took a vacation. And the other aspect, which was the pride, took over. So we might say Krishna's on my side, which is true. Krishna is. But the real question to ask is, am I on Krishna's side? Not so much is Krishna on my side. Am I on Krishna's side? Am I seeing whatever is the situation in a way that is pleasing to Krishna? Or am I seeing it in a way that is pleasing or displeasing to me? So, because we are Tatastha Shakti, we toggle between the spiritual side and the material side very quickly. On one moment, we might be on, feeling very amazing and grateful. All we need is one instance or one thing that switches us back to that mode very quickly. And because we are so habituated to moving to the dark side, that we don't recognize that, I've actually made the transition to the dark side. We think I'm still on this side and Krishna's, being not nice to me, or this is what Krishna wants, etc., which was not the case. So we switch very, very quickly because inherently there is selfishness or me-centeredness. This is strong. It's very strong. And it happens like that. So a devotee, as we practice, we have to cultivate the ability to recognize, oh, my consciousness is now moving from here to here. I better work at bringing it back to where it is supposed to be. That is why intelligence is such a strong player in the whole thing. Intelligence helps us recognize, oh Prabhu, you moved from your position. Please reinstate yourself back. That's what's going on. So Indra did that.
It is said that Krishna consciousness is for those who are non-envious. I remember Srila Prabhupada was with some devotees, and he just pointed to this one devotee in particular and said, see this person? He is free from envy. I don't know. I don't know his name. I can't remember his name, but I just thought that was...
fortunate soul.
Pardon me?
Whoever is that fortunate soul.
Yeah. He was kind of shocked, I guess, when Prabhupada said that.
There's a verse in the Bhagavatam that begins with, this Bhagavatam is for people who are free from envy. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam. So it says one who is free from envy, they can understand the Supreme and the spiritual aspects as it is. Vedyam vastavam astru. That they can understand things as they are. Shivadam, and their life is auspicious. Or the Bhagavatam gives auspiciousness to persons like that.
I heard we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are.
As we like,
yeah.
Or as we are.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I have to end this. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.